you even kind of hinted at that for your round 2 follow-up, that you love the Saquons, you love the Fournettes, these every down backs. Is there one in particular that you really like and you're hoping for that falls to you in round 2?
Again, depending where I'm at, Saquon Barkley has been someone I'm just not afraid of at all. Like, I have him ranked as my RB8 overall, and usually he's kind of going closer to the turn there. So I would say Saquon and Fournette are kind of the two guys in round 2 that I find myself consistently getting the most. And it's just because once you kind of sit down, you start doing the projections, and this is, guys, you're doing the rankings all year long like I am, man. It's funny when how like you're higher on someone like Saquon in March or so, and people really scoff at you. But then they do their projections in May after the draft, and it's like, yeah, who else is going to get this ball in the offense? And same thing with Leonard Fournette. So last year, only Christian McCaffrey I was averaging more receptions per game than Leonard Fournette. Yeah, I'm not hating on Rachaad White, but he's still a 3rd round rookie running back. We only have to go back 2 years to find the last time the Buccaneers took a running back in the 3rd round and didn't use him. They paid Leonard Fournette over $20 million, man. That's the other thing. It's not like they just brought back Fournette on like a Melvin Gordon late offseason contract and then drafted Rachaad White. Like, they paid Leonard Fournette, man, after he was kind of visiting some other places. Yeah, they added White, but my God, like, White might not even beat out Giovanni Bernard right now. It just seems like a classic situation of us really overthinking a guy that's been out there in a lot of rookie drafts. Dynasty folks love him, and maybe he is great, but man, it's just, when Leonard Fournette's out there, he's just the epitome, and Saquon Barkley, of some of these running backs where we rank them RB12, RB13. But then when week 1 comes around and actually, comes time to play, we're going to be like, I don't know if there's more than 5 or 6 running backs that we can even be ranking ahead of these guys to begin with. So Saquon, Fournette, and to a lesser extent, he's more of a 3rd round guy, James Conner, and arguably Cam Akers, round 4, but we'll see. We'll talk about him in a minute. These are guys that to me have round 1 workloads, but they're discounted because they're a little bit older. In Saquon's case, we're not thrilled about the Giants offense. Fair enough things, but man, at running back, again, when it comes down, when it's week 8, we're just saying, hey, Dearness Johnson is about to get 20 plus touches. Like, our RB1 over here. It seems to be more so in the summer and August and months like these that we, overweight the importance of some of these other factors. So when in doubt, chase that volume, particularly when it's as cemented as it is in round 2 with Saquon and Lenny.
Absolutely. Lenny's one I've come around to. I was a little bit lower on him entering the offseason, but too many sharp people are in. And then just the more and more you learn about 80% guy in a Tom Brady offense, like, there's no need to overthink that. 80% of the running back touches, 80% of the snaps. As much as I like White, handcuff him then. If you love White, like, it's going to be a beast. It's a great role, maybe the best role in fantasy besides Christian McCaffrey, as you mentioned. So I've come around on him. The other guy I've started to really hammer. I was getting him in round 3 for a while with the scare of the suspension, but Alvin Kamara, I mean, the fact that you can now get him in round 2, and if there's no suspension, the guy was the running back 4 in his games with Jameis Winston on a complete shit offense. I mean, Marquez Callaway, the next most threatening player last year, and he still was right around 20 fantasy points per game in that offense. Now you get the other guys back. Maybe that takes a little bit of his workload off, but he'll be right back to that. I mean, 3 of the top 15 points per touch of all time, like the most efficient guy out there. Scott Barrett, I had him on last week. I know I keep referencing him, but that's kind of, he's fresh on the brain. He came on last Wednesday, and he has him at running back 3. And I mean, as long as he doesn't get suspended, that guy's going to be a potential league winner. So I really like Kamara.
I should have listened to my own article here where I said upside of nailing the Kamara situation is tantalizing. We're shooting for the moon. So yeah, you can actually, I mean, again, depending on the draft, I think now that more and more with the latest legal update, the September 29th hearing, I think it is now more and more likely that no suspension happens until 2023, if at all. Hey, round 2, man, that's fine with me. It was fantastic being able to get him in round 3, round 4 there for a bit. I have a feeling though, by it's one of those situations where I'm going to try to consistently be a little bit ahead of the curve. That's the only tricky things with rankings. And I know Scott's a good drafter and everything, so I'm sure he adjusts to it, but that's the only thing we'll be careful on. Like, don't take Kamara in round 1 if we can get him in round 2, round 3. Exactly. So that's the only tricky part with the rankings and how you got to bake ADP into them sometimes. But same thing. Like, same reasoning with Saquon and Fournette. Guys that are being ranked RB10, RB12 could be RB3 by week 1. Seriously.
Absolutely. Is there anybody in those first 2 rounds? We haven't really talked about fades yet. Is there anybody that you're kind of off of when this name comes, you just never find yourself drafting them?
Nick Chubb. I hate to
Yep.
be the fade Nick Chubb guy, but the Watson situation continues to be iffy. And even without it, man, he's just one of the biggest overperformers in the league. And it's just one of those situations that I'm not that thrilled about continuing to just make a leap of faith on. They have Kareem Hunt there. They even when Kareem Hunt wasn't there, man, like last year, even removing the last 2 games of the year where Chubb was hurt and it was a meaningless Week 18 game, Chubb averaged 17.5 touches per game with Kareem Hunt and like 17.4 without. His workload didn't change because they just put the Ernest Johnson in the pass down roles. And it sucks because even if Chubb's not Hunt level good as a receiver, he can catch the ball in the flat, right? Like, but they don't give him a chance. So it's one of those things where if Chubb needs to continue to be the best running back in the league for him to be like a borderline RB1 in PPR points per game. It's silly, but it's the game we play. And, you know, again, when you look at his expected workloads, he's like an RB3. Honestly, I think he was RB21 last season, and he was RB27 the year before. So really the workload, it's just so tough on him. It's similar to me. It's kind of why I'm fading Deebo Samuel a little bit too, just where I have him ranked, because, you know, we look at his points per game before and after having the running back role really become a major part of his game. And it was 21 PPR points per game in weeks like 1 through 9, weeks 10 to the NFC Championship. It was 20. So it was like, who cares? It's only a difference of 1 point per game. He was killing it. But again, that expected points, man, as a pure wide receiver, it was 17.4 expected PPR points per game. As more of a primary running back, 12.9. Like, I just tweeted out a chart today showing yards after contact, missed tackles forced per carry, the exact stats that, you know, Javonte Williams truthers are jerking themselves off to every single day. Deebo Samuel's like on a different part of the graph, man. He was truly the most efficient rusher in the entire league last year, and he did it once. Maybe he can do it again, but I just really feel like Nick Chubb, Deebo Samuel, I think they're being priced more so based on the great accomplishments they've been able to have over the past few years than what we should necessarily think that's going to happen this year based on their opportunity. And to be fair, man, that 49ers offensive line, I don't think it's as big of a guarantee to be dominant. And obviously Jacoby Brissett at quarterback for who knows how long, that could tank the entire offense. So I think Chubb and Deebo, you know, just give me the guys with a bigger workload, because I think they have some red flags that probably aren't being considered as much as they would be if they just hadn't been so damn good over the last year or two.
It's the classic, the love the talent, hate the situation. I'm 100%. Both those guys are on the ones I just don't find myself drafting, particularly Chubb. He averages 3.5 more points per game in wins than losses. So if we knew Watson was playing, I'll go right back to the well. I'll readjust my rankings, but it's seeming like it's going to be a full year. They seem pretty hell-bent on getting there. And so at that point, who wants to be in a Jacoby Brissett hellhole? Like, it's the fucking worst offense in the world. I don't want to be there. And Hunt's damn good. Like, all this trade speculation, hopefully he goes somewhere. Match him on the Bills, or like, there's so many situations where he would be right back into the top 10 running backs in fantasy should he go there. But he actually outscored Chubb 6 of their 8 games together 2 seasons ago. Last year, when they were both fully healthy through the first 5 weeks, he had more points per game than Chubb. I mean, he just has the receiving work, and we know that 3 times as valuable a target compared to a carry. And as good as Chubb is, maybe one of the most fun players to watch in all of football as a pure runner, it's just not that valuable for us fantasy folks. So, yeah, I'm with you. He's the one that I definitely am gravitating towards.
Are you buying a ton of Hunt then? I have been.
Yeah, I mean, because you get him in round like 9, 10. I mean, why not? If you want a piece of this backfield, absolutely, I'm going there. I
don't know who trades for him and like his value really drops anymore. Right. Like, I don't think you're looking at a guy that's going to fall more. Like, who would trade for Kareem Hunt to make him like a distant backup RB3? So, and then there's the chance that if he goes like to a Buffalo or like the Rams or someone, or, you know, reunion with the Chiefs, like who the hell knows? But even if some of those are, you know, more possible than others, like as great as Nick Chubb is, all those stats, man, you don't have to go down many names to find Kareem Hunt right after him. And to be fair, Ernest Johnson last year, you know, was popping on a bunch of these. So I never have quite bought into the trade stuff. And it seems like based on Hunt, you know, hopping back in the team drills and Browns reportedly saying it's not going to happen. Like, why would they, man? He's on an affordable contract because of his past. Like, they're in a situation where they're going day by day with the Watson situation, but clearly you look at some of the other 1-year deals they've had. Like, this is a team trying to win a Super Bowl in the year 2022, and having Kareem Hunt on your football team like makes you a better football team. So I've always thought, if anything, like, you know, if you feel better about, if you think Jerome Ford can be as good as Dearness, then go ahead and trade Dearness. But getting rid of Kareem Hunt, man, that's never made sense to me.
No, not at all. So yeah, we'll track that one for sure. Obviously, the rankings will adjust, but as you mentioned, even without Hunt, it's not like Chubb, because like everybody's gonna shoot him up the moon, and he just hasn't been all that valuable, whether he should be used as a receiver or not. Javonte, you mentioned him too. Javonte threw the jerking off. I love that line. Ultimately, he's a guy that I have a little bit trouble on, not because of the talent. Another situation where Melvin Gordon outscored him in 10 to 16 games last year, had actually more fantasy points per game. I do think that flips significantly this year. I do think Javonte will be more highly used, but another running back that just, you're looking at Fournette getting 80% of the work, or Javonte getting 55 or 56 point cents, like whatever the charts are saying these days in practice. My fucking God, whatever it is. It's another tricky one for me too. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.